China has successfully landed its first rover on Mars. The Tianwen-1 lander touched the planet's surface after surviving the treacherous descent by parachute.
In 2021, China's Tianwen-1 mission succeeded where many others failed, landing a rover on Mars on its very first attempt. But this mission wasn't about flags or prestige. It was about proving China's technological independence, testing systems for deeper space exploration, and positioning itself as a global space power. And as Zhurong, the rover, began its journey across the Martian surface, it uncovered secrets that would shift the trajectory of human understanding of Mars forever. China's space ambitions and the Wolf Amendment. In the early 2000s, China's space ambitions were just beginning to take shape. Despite significant strides in its human spaceflight program, the nation found itself locked out of key international collaborations. The tipping point came in 2011 when the United States passed the Wolf Amendment, a law barring NASA from working with China on any space-related projects. The effects were immediate and harsh. China was excluded from the International Space Station, its scientists were shut out of joint NASA missions, and participation in United States-led planetary exploration became legally impossible. For China, this wasn't just a diplomatic setback, it was a rallying cry. The Wolf Amendment had laid bare the true nature of its dependency on foreign space powers. Faced with this exclusion, China made a pivotal decision. It would go it alone, but instead of retreating or playing catch-up, it chose to push forward and prove its technological might. No longer could China afford to wait for permission. It had to create an independent space program capable of competing with the giants. By 2020, that ambition was on the verge of fruition. The Chinese Space Agency had set its sights on Mars, a seemingly impossible goal. But it wasn't just about reaching the red planet. It was about testing the systems that would make China self-sufficient in deep space exploration. Geopolitical context and the path to independence. As tensions between the United States and China escalated, the stakes for space exploration became far more than just scientific curiosity. For China, space was now a battleground for national pride and geopolitical leverage. The United States had established itself as the dominant force in space, not only with its long-standing space programs, but with the vast network of international cooperation it enjoyed. China, however, was left to find its own path. The Wolf Amendment wasn't just a political maneuver. It was a stark reminder of the world's growing mistrust of China's ambitions. This isolation spurred China's space program into overdrive. The nation could no longer rely on collaboration with NASA or ESA, European Space Agency, so it turned inward, focusing on self-reliance. China's strategy wasn't simply about being a player in space. It was about becoming a leader. With no option for shared expertise or joint missions, China developed its own modular space station, Tiangong, bypassing the restrictions on the International Space Station, ISS. It also set a course to undertake missions that others had failed, Mars, the Moon, and eventually deep space missions beyond our solar system. The Mars mission in particular stood out as the ultimate test. The journey to the Red Planet was perilous, and failure was a real possibility. Yet for China, there was no turning back. The need to prove its technological capabilities, autonomous systems, precise navigation, and resilience in harsh environments was far more pressing than the potential risks of failure. Mars wasn't just a challenge. It was an undeniable necessity to assert China's technological independence. Tianwen-1 and China's Mars mission. The decision to go to Mars wasn't made overnight. By the time China launched Tianwen-1 in 2020, the world had already witnessed countless failed attempts by other nations. Mars had earned its grim reputation as the graveyard of space missions, with more than half of all attempts historically ending in failure. Yet, China moved forward undeterred, launching its mission with a level of ambition that set it apart from any other space agency. Tianwen-1 was never meant to be a simple rover mission. Unlike previous Mars missions, China opted for a daring, all-in-one approach. A single spacecraft that included an orbiter, a lander, and a rover, all launched together. This was a calculated risk, an intricate system test that would push China's engineering capabilities to their limits. If anything went wrong during the launch, entry, descent, or landing, the entire mission would fail. This was unprecedented. NASA had never attempted such a full-stack mission on its first Mars venture, and neither had any other space agency. The launch of Tianwen-1 wasn't about media spectacle. It was a calculated system stress test. Every part of the mission had to function perfectly in tandem. This included long-duration space travel, autonomous operations, planetary landing under Mars's harsh conditions, and deep space communication, all without any real-time control or backup systems. In the face of these enormous challenges, China's resolve remained steadfast. After 7 months of travel, Tianwen-1 entered Mars's orbit on February 10, 2021. Then, on May 14, 2021, Zhurong, China's rover, touched down in Utopia Planitia, a region of Mars believed to have once been the site of an ancient ocean. This moment marked a monumental achievement, not just for China, but for humanity's understanding of deep space exploration. What set China's mission apart wasn't simply its technical success, but the broader, quieter message it sent to the world. China was no longer a follower in space exploration. It was an independent force, capable of achieving what only a few nations had ever dreamed of: success in discoveries on Mars. The successful landing of Tianwen-1 was not just a triumph of engineering. It was the culmination of China's calculated gamble to prove its autonomy in space. But the true value of the mission lay not just in the technological milestones achieved, but in the groundbreaking discoveries that followed. As the Zhurong rover began its journey across Mars's surface, it uncovered clues that would radically reshape humanity's understanding of the red planet. Zhurong's radar, a powerful ground-penetrating tool, revealed something astonishing beneath the Martian surface: layered structures buried between 10 to 35 meters deep. These weren't just any geological features. Their geometry was unmistakable. The layers tilted in a consistent direction, much like coastlines on Earth that have been shaped over millions of years by sediment deposits. This was the first real evidence suggesting that Mars, too, had once hosted a large body of water. But that discovery didn't stop there. As Zhurong continued its journey, it detected hydrated minerals that were formed in the presence of liquid water. What made this even more surprising was the age of these minerals. They appeared to have formed much more recently than scientists had previously believed, pushing the timeline for liquid water on Mars hundreds of millions of years closer to the present than originally assumed. This dramatically changed how scientists viewed the potential for life on Mars and its history as a habitable environment. These findings were nothing short of revolutionary. They not only validated China's decision to send a rover to Mars, but they also demonstrated the rover's effectiveness as an autonomous scientific tool. Zhurong, powered by solar energy, survived the harsh Martian environment, enduring freezing nights, intense radiation, and dust storms, all while gathering data that would have been nearly impossible to collect from Earth. China had achieved more than just a successful mission. It had unearthed evidence of a once water-rich Mars, opening up entirely new avenues for scientific research and future exploration. But these discoveries were only the beginning. They were the proof that China's deep space mission architecture was working, proof that China's space program was capable of handling the harsh realities of Mars, and that it was prepared for the challenges of future missions. The surprising findings from Zhurong. As the Zhurong rover ventured deeper into the Martian landscape, its findings began to take an unexpected turn. While the discovery of the ancient shoreline and hydrated minerals was groundbreaking, there was more hidden beneath the Martian surface than anyone had anticipated. These findings would soon become the linchpin in China's ongoing space ambitions. Zhurong's radar didn't just reveal ancient water signatures. It uncovered what appeared to be geological evidence that Mars had experienced a more dynamic, water-rich past than scientists had ever predicted. The structures and mineral deposits Zhurong detected pointed to a far more recent history of liquid water, challenging the long-held belief that Mars had dried up completely billions of years ago. But what made these discoveries even more surprising was their location. Utopia Planitia, the region where Zhurong landed, had long been considered a geologically stable, relatively flat region of Mars, ideal for landing a rover, but not the first place scientists would look for signs of recent water activity. The very fact that this relatively calm area contained these extraordinary geological anomalies suggested that Mars's watery history might have been more widespread and more recent than anyone had thought. In the context of China's broader mission, these findings were a revelation. They not only provided valuable data for future exploration, but also validated China's decision to send Zhurong to a site that wasn't just scientifically interesting, but strategically important. The rover's discoveries had proven that Mars was a much more complex, dynamic planet than previously understood. These findings added an entirely new dimension to the mission. Mars wasn't just a dead, barren world. It had once been alive with water, and perhaps, just perhaps, it could support life again in the future. This new understanding of Mars pushed the mission beyond its initial goals. What started as a test of China's technological capabilities had turned into a treasure trove of scientific insights, rewriting what was known about the Red Planet's past. China's future in space exploration. Zhurong's discoveries on Mars marked just the start of China's ambitious space plans. Following the success of Tianwen-1, the next major leap is Tianwen-3, expected around 2028, which will attempt Mars sample return, a feat previously attempted only by NASA. This mission represents a critical step toward deep space capability, not just prestige. Beyond Mars, China aims for crewed missions in the mid-21st century and is developing the Long March Super Heavy Lift rocket to support sustained interplanetary exploration. Advanced propulsion systems, like nuclear thermal and electric engines, are also in development to support long-duration missions. With each launch, China is positioning itself to lead the next era of space exploration. China's journey to Mars wasn't just about catching up. It was about setting the pace for the future. With groundbreaking discoveries beneath the Martian surface and bold plans ahead, the nation is now a key player in the space race. If you're as fascinated by the next frontier as we are, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us on this thrilling exploration of the cosmos.